If you're thinking about, younger people that are trying to get into filmmaking, that are
Mhm.
that whether they want to be a DP, they want to be a filmmaker, whatever. What are the types of things that you think maybe are not understood or that are underappreciated about the things you do?
I think because digital filmmaking is so easy now in a way that like everybody's got a phone and everybody can make a video and everybody can do a TikTok and an Instagram story.
Hmm.
What happens, I think, is that like people think that videos then are really easy to make and good
Sure.
videos are really easy to make. Like, oh, I'll just show up with a camera and it will be awesome. It'll be viral. And you're like,
Right.
well, there's a lot of things that go into this. And so on top of that, there are all the technical things that go into filmmaking. But beyond that, like the technical, what camera you're using and what you're lighting with, like none of that truly matters if you don't have a good story
Hmm.
and if you don't have a good performers. Like you can go see a movie that's beautifully shot and the production value is through the roof, but it's a shitty story. And you're like, that was a
Sure.
bad movie. And you're not going to say like, that story sucked, but it was shot really well, so I guess it was okay. Like nobody says
Right.
that.
Right.
The story always comes first. And so learning how to develop stories, but also like mine from your personal experience and explore it and figure out how you can share it in an effective way, in a meaningful way to yourself and to other people is really important. Because then sometimes people try to write about things they don't know about or other experiences, and it can work out sometimes, but like I think people are always going to connect with something that's personal. So I would say that like what people don't understand is like value the technical, but never value it over like the reason that you're making in the first
Sure.
place, which is the story.
Do you have an agent?
No.
Okay. So how much of your time is spent kind of hustling for opportunities and trying to find that next gig versus just being able to focus on more the craft and the storytelling and that kind of thing?
So I had a pretty busy last year. I was traveling a lot constantly. And I think that job took me away from LA a lot so that maybe I wasn't networking as much in LA. And so I'm realizing now that like I need to rebuild my network and kind of like come back into LA as if I've just moved here and I'm
Sure.
hustling again to like meet people. And more of my time this year is going to be spent in a concerted effort to take meetings or meet with people, even if it's not like you have something to offer me right now, but let's
Hmm.
just meet and see if we get along. Like it is so much about a rapport. If you meet somebody and they're super talented, but it's like you do not get along and they're an asshole or it's strange and awkward, it's like I don't want to spend my time that way.
Sure.
These days are long and this job is hard, and I need to be able to surround myself for my mental health as well with people that I like and want to continue working with, but that I also feel psychologically safe with.
Do you find, because I think we all enjoy speaking to people that like movies and people that we
Yeah.
enjoy. Once we know that, do
hmm
you find it hard to make yourself make that first step, or is it come naturally to you? Is it an effort? Is it something that you have to be conscious about?
I think it's something that I have to be conscious about because sometimes like I can really hermit if I want
Sure.
to.
Right.
Like I'm a person that can putz around my house all day, like and not sit down, and I'll be constantly doing something. But I've made an effort this year to just try to follow up with people more and get drinks or get coffee. Like, and you have to realize that like sometimes you can't go in with an expectation or a want because then that can come off that way.
Sure.
And you don't want to seem needy, but at the same time, like you are hoping that maybe there is something that you two could work on in the future, and it could be like, oh, I'm not doing anything right now, but a friend of mine is, and maybe I'll send them your info because I think they might like you,
Right.
and like just kind of constantly being in somebody's rear view mirror or like in their line of sight is very important
Hmm.
because then they'll just immediately be able to think of you if something does come up, or you'll be able to think of them if something comes up that they might be good for. It can feel sometimes forced to just be like, I'm just constantly getting drinks and taking meetings and things, but
Sure.
like eventually something is going to happen, and you have to be open sometimes, not only to like taking those meetings, but sometimes just showing up to help people out if like you have the time. People always need help here, and I found people do want to help in Los Angeles. Like there's a lot of people asking for free work, that's true, but everything that I pretty much have done since I moved here, a lot of the people that I've met came from like showing up to somebody's set for free that I didn't know, that I barely knew. But she made a call and she asked me, she's like, hey, I know we don't work together, but we met and we've exchanged info, and I'm doing some reshoots, and I would love if you could come and help. Like, if you're not doing anything, I would be really appreciative if you could. And I was like, yeah, of course, I'll show up. And then from there, I met a woman who got an email, and she was like, oh, I got this email from a producer. They're looking for female crew. Do you want me to forward this to you? And I was like, yes. And then from that email that I emailed that producer, like, I was on a feature. And then from that feature, I met a whole bunch of people who started hiring me for paid work. So it was like all these levels of skipping around to, and it, you know, it wasn't clear that like I was going to ever get paid by this woman who asked me for the first time, but eventually I did from somebody else down the line.